Okay, and we're on the last page of day 4 notes. And right at the top, we're going to see a word that we're going to use a ton this year, and that word is congruent. When we refer to congruent segments, they're segments that have the same length. For instance, these two segments down here, PQ and RS, over here in the box, it tells me that they both equal 5 units long. Therefore, the two segments are equal. And in geometry, if two segments are equal, then they are also congruent. When they use the congruent symbol, which is an equal sign with a little squiggle above it, they put the bars above the segments. When they refer and use the equal sign, it means they're referring to an actual number for their length, and they don't put the squiggle above the equal sign to make it congruent. They just stick with equals, and then don't use the bars above the segment letters. Another cool thing in geometry is that a lot of times we don't even care about what length they are. We just care that they're equal in length. We don't really care about the number. And so we will use what they call tick marks. They're like these little dashes that we put on the segments. And anytime we see them, we automatically know that they have the same length. So coming down here in number 5, we're given a picture and we are asked to name two congruent segments. So we're not going to whip out our ruler or anything like that. We're just going to simply look at the picture and see these little tick marks here. This tick mark here, if we look to the left, we see the letter T. We look to the right, we see the letter K. Therefore, this tick mark is on segment TK. And TK is therefore one of our congruent segments. This is another tick marked segment, and if we look to the left, we see the K. If we look to the right, we see the N. Therefore, this tick mark right here is on the segment KN. Now, part B asks us to name a segment. Well, we just did. We named 2 of them. So I guess we can name a different one if we want to, but we don't have to. This segment, look here, right here, looks nice, and we will call that TH. Remember, segments are named by their endpoints. Part C asks you to name a line. And when I hear the word line, I always think arrows. It extends forever and ever. And so I see a nice line right here. And you can pick any 2 letters on there that you want. You can pick the first and the last. You can pick first in the middle. It does not matter. It does matter that you put the symbol above them. So we go ahead and say H, N. And then we put the symbol for a line right above it, which looks like a bar with arrows on it, making it a line, not a segment. Part D is asking us, is S between H and N? So we have to find H and N and S. And remember what between means. It means they all have to be on the same line. And those 3 points are not all on the same line. So we say no. Part E then says, what can you conclude about point K? And we might not know yet. However, I can tell that if this distance over here is equal to this distance over here, then K has to be in the middle of T and N. Therefore, that makes K a midpoint of T, N. And we have one more example to do there. I'll slide up. And again, it's asking me for 2 congruent segments. Remember, when you're looking for 2 congruent segments, don't measure, don't assume. They're marked for you. You just have to realize that these tick marks mean that those segments are equal. This first blue tick mark is on the segment LG. And the second tick mark over here is on the segment GN. Part B again asked me to name a segment, and I just did. I named 2 of them, but I can name a different one. Let's go with OG. Name a line. There are 2 of them, and any segment can be extended past its endpoints to be a line as long as you put the line symbol over the letters. I'm going to go and play it safe and name this one called AN, and we put the line symbol over it. Then they ask me, is G between A and O? So here's G, here's A, here's O, And they are all on the same line, so I'm going to go ahead and respond yes. Part E is asking me what I can conclude about point G. And if we look here, G is in the middle, but we have to be careful. The only segment we can say he's in the middle of is the one that's ticked marked. So we can say that G is the midpoint of LN. We cannot say he's the midpoint of OA because we don't know if this length here and this length here are the same or equal or congruent. Number 7, pretty easy. Draw and label a diagram of each figure. Point W, a point is just a dot. Capital letter W will name it. Next one up, we have line MN, so we can just draw a straight line. It is a line, so we're going to put arrows. And they asked us to name it MN, so we'll put 2 points on it, and we'll call one M and one N. And then the next one is asking me for a line segment, JK. So again, we'll draw a line, but this time we're going to put endpoints to make it a segment instead of arrows. We'll call one J and one K. And that's it. All right, we'll see you in day 5 notes.